roughly 20 minutes of my type of yoga. My name is Jess, and I'm going to lead you just a short series of simple movements that you can do at home in a relatively enclosed space. Here we're in my study. I'm not using a mat. You don't necessarily need one. You could sit on a rug or a carpet. This is just to demonstrate that we can access the benefits of yoga without needing the whole trappings. So you're just going to take a comfortable seat. You don't have to sit cross-legged like I am. You could be sitting on a chair or on a sofa. You could be sitting on your heels or with your legs stretched out in front of you. What is important is that you have a neutral spine. So what I mean by that is you are not trying to drag yourself upright. Your shoulders aren't up by your ears. They're dropped away. The neck is long. You're not hunched or curled over. The whole front of the torso feels open. There is space to breathe. So let's take a moment here while we breathe. Can you hear your breath in your ears? Smooth and deep, controlled. Sounds a little like wind or water. I always teach my yoga with some book or text. So for this little interval that I have your attention here, I'm going to take wind and water as my guiding principles, and I'm going to use extracts from a poem by Alice Oswald called Nobody to explore this. When we practice our yoga, we try to achieve a rhythm. We keep our breath steady. We keep the ebb and the flow moving through the breath and then through the physical postures. Like a tide. The swelling, lifting of the inhale, the rush in, the lightness, the drawing within, sucking back of the exhale. Looking for a rhythm that in its movement produces stillness. You're just still sitting in your seated position, breathing steadily. Closing your eyes if they're not already. Feeling the level, even inhale and the exhale. A goddess or fog shape in full wedding dress sulks in that loneliness. What a winter creature, whose lover loathes the everlasting clouds of her, and sits in tears staring at the pleasure-crinkled sea. But she, as if a dash of hope discoloured her sight, stands waiting, the way a spider when it wishes to travel simply lets out a silken aerial. Electrostatically alert through every hair to the least shift of the ionosphere, at last it lifts on tiptoe and lovely to behold, like a bare twig it begins to blow, wherever the wind will take it, but the wind is the most distracted messenger I know. You're going to take 5 more breaths sitting here. That even inhale, that steady exhale. then inhaling, blinking your eyes open. As you exhale, you're going to extend your legs away from you. If you are sitting on the floor, they extend away in what we call a straddle pose, out to the sides. If you want to stay sitting on a chair, just spread your knees out as wide as feels sustainable. That goes for the same if you have your legs on the floor. We don't want them so wide out that it feels a strain just to even sit here. Sitting tall as you can, maintaining that feeling of the long torso. On your next exhalation, you are going to gently fold your way forwards. And when I say fold, that does not mean that we immediately bring our chest down to the floor or to your mat. A fold can be a slight lean. Maybe you put your forearms down. Maybe you have your hands reaching forwards. That is all fine. Just try to remember the long torso. So you're not scrabbling forwards. You're not letting those shoulders come up by the ears. You keep the neck long and the chest open, because the most important thing is that you can still breathe. Listen again for that tidal wind rushing of the breath. On the inhale, the torso pulls forward like a wave pressing inland. On the exhale, you are softened and sucked down and in towards yourself as the wave pulls back. Let's have 2 more breaths here. Inhale, sitting yourself upright. As you exhale, you're going to swing that right foot in against the left thigh. You're going to turn your chest towards your left toes. And on an exhale, you're going to fold over that left leg. If you are doing this seated, turn your torso towards your left leg and fold over on your chair. Fold over towards your thigh. Last breath here. Inhale, lifting the chest all the way up, and pull that left foot towards you, picking it up. Reaching for the left foot with both hands. On an inhale, push it away from you. You do not need to be able to straighten the leg. If you are sitting on a seat, pull that left leg up off the floor. Clasp your hands around the knee and pull the thigh in towards you. One more breath here. Now, next exhalation, you're going to really bend that extended leg, pulling the ankle down towards the right knee. Put your left ankle on top of your right knee. If you are sitting on the floor, move the right foot forwards so that the ankle and the knee are in line with each other. If you are sitting, we simply put the left ankle on top of that right knee. You may find this feels very, very restricted, like maybe you have your knee up in your chest and it feels closed. If that is the case, drop your hands behind you. Walk them as far back as you need to be able to let the chest be open. The breath easy. Maybe if you have very open, easy hips, you might feel that you want to bring your weight forwards. Maybe you just want to rest your hands on that top leg and sit upright. Wherever you are, steady breaths. Two more breaths here. Inhale, bringing your torso upright, whether that's from the back or from the front. And exhale, release both of those feet and just lift them up in front of you. Reach forwards, grab the outsides of the feet, and on an inhale, see if you can push them out and up. You might find you roll backwards here or tip forwards. That's okay. Just slowly come back into the middle and see if you can find your balance. If you are sitting on your chair, try sitting back and pulling both knees up into your chest and trying to balance on your sit bones just like we are. One more breath. Now on your next exhalation, you are going to bend in the left leg, put the foot down, and you want that left foot to be in line with the left knee. And now you're going to swing in that right foot and put the ankle on top of the knee. If you're on the chair, put your left leg down, put your right ankle on top of your knee. Just like on the other side, maybe you want to walk your hands all the way back. Maybe you want to walk them forwards. Maybe you just sit in the center. You might find this side a lot easier than the other. You also might not. That's fine. We are not completely symmetrical, much as that would be helpful. This is a very strong movement for most people in their hips. So focus in on your breath if it is challenging. Find a point in the pose that feels sustainable. You do not want to be in pain. If you are in pain, you need to back off. But find a point that is sustainable and focus on that steady, ebbing and flowing breath. Just 2 more breaths here. Then inhale, bringing the chest into the center if it wasn't. Exhale, release that top leg. Pick it up. You're reaching for both the foot with both hands, and you can tuck in that left foot a bit closer. And when you're ready, on an inhale, push the foot up and away. This leg does not need to be straight, it can be bent. Just try to keep it active. Last breath. Next exhalation, let go of that foot and extend it away. So now you have the left foot tucked into that right thigh. Sitting tall and turning your chest towards those toes. On an exhale, folding your way forwards over the leg. If you are sitting, both feet are down on the floor with the knees apart, and you fold yourself over the thigh of the right leg. You're still moving with that tidal breath. Is the inhale sucking you forwards? Is the exhale rolling you back and in? Can you hear the sea, the wind in your ears as you breathe? Last 2 breaths here. Inhale, drawing yourself upright. Exhale, let's draw in that ankle and gently push yourself over to come to all fours. And on the next exhalation, you tuck your toes behind you and you lift up into a downward dog. It's an inverted V shape. You want to be looking back at your feet or your knees and pressing your hands firmly into the ground to press your chest towards your legs. Three more breaths here. Now on the next exhalation, let's put the knees down and you're coming back into a comfortable seated position. Take a moment to settle yourself there. You can rest your hands on your knees or on your thighs or maybe in your lap. Looking for that long, upright spine that is without tension, it's without effort. Breathing through your nose if you can. But the most important bit is that you are breathing steadily. Closing your eyes. This poem, Nobody, by Alice Oswald, is very loosely based on the story of Odysseus, trying to find his way home, thinking he will have his place in the glorious annals of history. But what Oswald does is she chooses to focus on the true rhythm, the true influence of Homer's Odyssey, the water, the sea, its rhythms and how they carry us. And as I said earlier, in yoga we often look for some stillness in our rhythm, in our movement. So here in this little snippet, I've tried to offer 3 different ways that we might find that. 3 different yogic ways. The first one being the rhythmic wisdom of others, in this case, Alice Oswald. The second being the rhythmic pause, space, peace that a concentrated breath can bring us. And the third being the still rhythmic, the still measured stillness that breath with movement, with mindful intention can bring. The words, the breath, the movement. Marrying them together to find a state of space. Who is it saying these things? Is it only the tide passing like a rumour over the sea floor? Or who is it keeps silent when somebody's ring on nobody's hand sinks like an eye into darkness, and the wind drops and the water roars itself speechless? Who is it speaking, she said, my friend? Who is it watching me behind your eyelids? Please, he said, will you please let me sleep? Fidgeting under his quilt with one foot touching the floor. You know full well, he said, this is only the water, talking to us in the voice of amnesia, sometimes with scraping, anxious steps, turning over the stones, and sometimes howling the same question over and over. And on his rock that poet shuffles about light sleeping, every so often answering back, who is it? Before all this, for maybe 1,000 years, it's been the same answer to the same question, no one. And on the roof the caretaker scarcely blinks, staring at the sea sky, wondering which way up he is nailed to the night in case your husband, dressed in his fate but as yet unmurdered, suddenly appears. How does it start? The sea has endless beginnings.